Coming up on Up at Noon, we're joined by special guest Laurence Fishburne to talk about Ant-Man and the Wasp. But after that, it's a Stormtrooper spectacular. We've got a big fancy helmet and some itty-bitty model kits to talk about. All that and more right now on Up at Noon Live.
There's really no shortage of ways to watch live entertainment over the internet in the year 2018.
That's true.
Speaking of live entertainment, we don't have live entertainment coming up. We have a great interview we shot yesterday with Laurence Fishburne and Stephen Broussard, who's one of the longtime producers of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They were in town to open a Giants game because the stadium's just down the street. It was really cool. Laurence Fishburne was they came and hung out. So we recorded that yesterday to fit their schedules. The following is not live, but we are right now. Should we prove it?
Yeah, prove it. Well, we'll change our clothes real quick, and then we'll come back and bring some. There we go.
Hello, everybody. Max and Brian here, and we are with, from Ant-Man and the Wasp, we've got Laurence Fishburne, who played Dr. Bill Foster, and Stephen Broussard, who's been producing Marvel movies for a decade at this point. Gentlemen, you just dropped by because you're going to a Giants game.
Yeah.
And you said you'd stop by our studio to hang out.
Your studio is really cool.
We got a lot of toys from popular
cool
Marvel films.
Stuff, man.
Lawrence, you played a famous Marvel superhero. You played Dr. Bill Foster, who in the comics is Goliath.
Yes.
Who gets huge.
Who gets huge.
I heard that there were talks of you getting huge in the movie, but that didn't get to happen.
It didn't happen. That doesn't mean it can't happen or that it won't happen. But I'll let the chief tell you all about that. They set it up nicely in Ant-Man and the Wasp, where as the universe continues to expand, maybe those two characters, Ghost and Goliath, will, show up somewhere.
Yeah, that's what's great about the MCU. You kind of never know which direction it's going to go,
Now, Stephen, Ant-Man and the Wasp was in kind of an odd space because it came out immediately after Infinity War, when everyone was just waiting with bated breath to find out what happens next, and they found out what happened immediately beforehand.
Yes.
Do you know what happens next, or is that stuff constantly kind of flying around?
We knew the context of kind of the year where we would sit, both from a story perspective, obviously, and the events of the MCU, as you can tell from the way this film ended, but also tonally, right? Like by design, to be in the year of Black Panther, in the year of Infinity War, to occupy a sort of different space on the tonal spectrum of the MCU, and running towards that and embracing that was kind of always in the DNA, even going back to the first Ant-Man film, but certainly to do it again with part 2.
I was gonna say, was that like sort of liberating, where everybody's like, "Oh, this serious universe-shattering event happened. What's next, guys?" And you're like, it's fart jokes and stuff, and we shrink people.
Totally.
And everyone's like, "What? Sure, give it to me."
Like, we have Paul Rudd singing karaoke. You know what I mean? Like that was our show.
Baba Yaga.
Yeah. That's. I mean, what I love about this movie is like even the villain is sort of, it's not really even a villain, but there's sort of a couple evil characters at play, but none of them are like, snapping to make half the universe disappear or anything that drastic. They're just kind of out for themselves. One of them might have some health violations in his restaurant. Like, it's that kind of world, and I really appreciate that. Yeah. Was that fun to sort of come in and work on a project like that?
Oh, well, it's cool. It's also San Francisco as a character, and then, ironically, to have Michael Douglas, and when you think about his history with San Francisco, going all the way back to the streets of San Francisco, and then Rudd and Lang, that character. I mean, it was really kind of cool,
Yeah, I want to say thank you on behalf of someone that lives in San Francisco for not just coming and blowing up our bridge and leaving like every.
all the other heroes do that. They come in and they wreck the place.
Yeah, they wreck
blow up the bridge and they leave. Like I think the Planet of the Apes did it, and like the X-Men did it. Everybody does it. So thanks for. I mean, this is the way the movie really celebrates the city. It takes this weird landscape of like hills, and it goes, that's a skateboard ramp,
Yeah.
Now we know that a lot of the Marvel movies get shot in Atlanta on digital backlot kind of things. How much of the film was actually in San Francisco? Did you get to hang out here?
I got to be here a couple of times. I think they were here 2-3 weeks, something like that.
Yeah, about 2 weeks. We were towards the end of the schedule, and we had to shoot it right. If you're going to do San Francisco, and I always said if we're doing Bullet, What's Up, Doc? You think about these amazing, iconic car chase sequences in this city. We knew we had. By the way, great one. we knew we had to sort of up our game, and you can only do that here, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you have this weird thing when you live in a city for a while and they start making movies in that city where you're looking at it and you're like, that car chase, like the car went like 15 different neighborhoods.
You couldn't do that. Yeah, exactly.
Which is really awesome because I was watching the movie and I was like, I love this as a film, but also as somebody who's sort of like geeking out about the landscape and streets that I know that are representative. It was really cool.
There's
great to
also
hear.
the joke that you've got giants walking around. It's our mascot. It's the San Francisco Giants.
Exactly.
I did not put that together.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Now, Laurence, obviously, Bill Foster, Goliath, he gets huge.
He's huge.
Would that be like if you had the option of being able to shrink or get gigantic, which would you go with?
Go big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go big or go home, man.
Like how big? Are we talking like Godzilla or?
Like ginormous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like bigger than you can
Just
fathom.
ginormous. Yeah. Bigger than Godzilla.
Yeah?
Oh, come on.
Kick his ass?
Oh, pick him up and just eat him like a chicken wing.
I feel like he'd fall off the planet. That's too big. That gets scary.
So
Stephen,
not off atmosphere,
Yeah.
like not out of the atmosphere.
you just get so huge you just
But,
pass
you know,
out.
You still want people to see your head and be like, what is
What is
that?
that? Yeah, exactly.
I love the idea of you just getting big enough to eat Godzilla
Yeah,
like a chicken.
like eat Godzilla like a chicken wing thing.
Just tear into his leg. This is obviously an incredibly funny movie. How much of that sort of happened on the fly? Obviously, you go in with a script because this is expensive to make. You can't just mess around. But I feel like there was a good deal of improv that was allowed to happen on set. Did you find that?
I think so. I mean, it's all about the tone set at the top, certainly with Peyton Reed returning as the director, of course. Paul, who's also one of the co-screenwriters, Paul Rudd. And there's just an atmosphere of let's try something and not be afraid to fall on our face, which does happen. But sometimes you get amazing, wacky stuff that's very, very weird and very out there. And we were not afraid of the big swings on this one. And a lot of them, most of them, end up in the movie, which is fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you can tell with most of the Marvel movies that there's a lot of improv going on, and that and the people that are doing it are really, really good at it. And
Right.
I always have to just kind of single out Robert Downey Jr. because he's a master of that anyway, and it's kind of just filtered out to all the movies. It didn't really start out that way, but with him as Tony Stark, it just, it's all through the Avengers, and it's really, I think, a lot of that is his influence.
It seems like almost like antithetical to the idea of a movie that I imagine takes like millions of dollars a second to make, to just sort of goof around on set.
But it's not just goofing around. I mean, he's highly skilled,
Right.
and all of the actors are, at a level. These are people that really, really are great at what they do. So it's nice that it's allowed and it's encouraged.
So it's like
'Cause
completely
they come up
controlled.
with great stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
I mean,
awesome.
you're one of these great actors. You've
Thanks.
a few movies under your belt, I think.
couple, yeah.
Which is more fun for you as an actor? Do you like to? I mean, you are an excellent actor. You can flex your serious muscles, but then to goof around and make.
It's great. I mean, we wear the mask. We wear them both, right? So it's nice to be able to do both in this context. I mean, I've been saying to people all day today that one of the reasons these movies work so well is because there's always a wink at the audience. Like, they're always going, hey, like, yeah, the world's in trouble and this guy's going to destroy the world, but we're really having fun.
Right.
So come on, have fun with us.
Yeah, I think that's like something our audience appreciates a lot. Is like we have a big video game audience, and a lot of it is like the game is like go save the princess, and you're like, well, first I want to like collect 100 goats and then get a sword. And you're like, get on the
Go
come
get
on,
your
out
stuff.
there. Get your stuff. Get her back.
Yeah, it's cool.
Now, obviously, the MCU it's to call these like individual movies. They're part of this whole ecosystem. There's this big, huge kind of breathing universe out there. Stephen, I imagine you're privy to a lot of top secret information that the internet would kill for. Laurence, do you get stuff that we don't know
I'm
about?
here to kill him if
There you go.
he slips up.
It's always the buddy system. I love that. But when you go see, I imagine you both saw Infinity War. Were there things that surprised you, or were you kind of briefed ahead of
I
time?
didn't know anything about Infinity War, so I was so happy. I was so happy with both everybody's entrance into the movie, the way they introduced every character, in particular Cap's entrance, when Cap and the Widow and the Falcon show up. I was like, wow, that's so cool. And then the ending, obviously, just completely like blew my mind. But I mean, it's fantastic the way that they put it all together.
Do you think your characters survived the snap?
I don't know.
Blink once for yes.
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Heady question to think about.
You guys are good. You're
Easier
good.
to kill me if I
That's true.
slip up too.
There we go.
Mutually assured destruction.
Now, what's your guys' relationship with superhero comics? Because they've been around for a minute. What drew them?
I started reading comics when I was like 5, 6 years old in New York. I was a Marvel guy. I was a DC guy. But really, Marvel was, all of this stuff that the MCU, all the stuff the MCU is based on, was happening in New York when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So it was all like happening. So I mean, one of the only books I didn't read was Ant-Man.
That's ironic.
That's really funny.
It's really strange.
No, I grew up in New Jersey, and you would just see the New York City skyline right there,
Right.
and I would be like,
That's the
Spider-Man's
Baxter.
there,
That's the
Batman's
Baxter
there.
Building. That's Avengers headquarters. That's Doctor Strange's play. Like all of it.
It also got me in trouble because I'd go in the sewer and be like, "Where are the Ninja Turtles?" My mom would be like, "Get out of the sewer!"
But
He had a lot of parasites growing up.
Very bad. That's how I ended up here.
Did you know, like, when you were approached about playing Bill Foster? Did you know who that was off the top of your head?
I did not know who Bill Foster was. I went to them and said, "Hey, I would really love to be a part of what you're doing."
Right.
And I don't know what's left because everything was almost. I mean, it was it was like 3 years, 4 years ago. I'm not sure.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Everybody had called dibs on like some
everybody, I was like looking at I was hopeful a long time ago that maybe somebody would shut up, stop. So rude. I would have loved. I always imagined I had fantasies about playing Thanos or fantasies about playing like Mysterio.
You would be a great Thanos.
I would be a great Thanos, but Josh is fun. Is awesome.
Yeah.
And he's a friend of mine, and he's awesome in it. So after that happened, I kind of went, well, listen, if you don't speak up, you gotta go speak up. So I stuck my hand up.
Right.
Which we love. People are like, hey, like what you guys are doing. and
that's
keep me
awesome.
in mind. Like that's such an amazing
You take a great actor
thing to
who's like,
hear.
put
Yeah.
me in your thing. It's
Yeah.
like you don't have to do casting and stuff like that. You're like, come on in.
Yeah.
The cool thing about that now is that the way the MCU works is that there are these characters that were, I don't know, we would probably have perceived as deep cuts when we were like much younger that are billion-dollar box office gems now at this point. I mean, you look at Ant-Man, you look at Black Panther. They're not like.
Think about like Guardians. I mean, like.
Oh yeah, totally.
Like Drax.
Yeah.
What like.
Yeah, you
Star-Lord?
I remember like seeing those comics as a kid and be like, what the hell is going on?
I love
over here?
Drax, but like even like Captain Marvel, we can't wait. Captain Marvel's just so exciting. But
So you've seen the whole film.
I haven't seen it. I'm just saying. Don't kill me yet. Don't kill me yet. Captain Marvel and there was a comic. It was Warlock was a great character.
Oh, dude, man.
That guy?
Yes.
That was great.
You just blinked a lot, so I don't know. I've been waiting for Warlock my whole life, or at least since I started reading those comics.
Yeah, so it's like the world is so deep, and part of the other reason it works is because, this gentleman and the guys that he works with, they all love the stuff.
Yeah,
they care about it. They care about the mythology.
It shows,
Yeah.
which is really awesome, because that's the way to make it, right?
Yeah, and even if it's obscure, they occupy different spheres, right? There's a reason to exist. They feel different from each other. Look at Ant-Man. Look at this franchise. Like to me, that's one of the more exciting things when we're saying what stories do we want to tell? What's next? Because it is a very, very deep bench. Going back decades. So
Yeah.
it's a
I mean, I know Ant-Man because I was an Avenger reader.
Right.
So I only know him as he is associated with the Avengers. So I knew who Hank Pym was, but I didn't know who Bill Foster was.
Damn, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, that sounds like a childhood dream come true.
It is,
That's
absolutely.
awesome. I
That's
hope that,
exactly what
like,
it is.
given your relationship with the source material, I hope they keep you around.
I hope so, too.
Looking at you, Stephen. But
100%.
I guess we'll have to wait and see.
I hope they make you as giant as you want to be, and I don't know what it'll cost for you to eat Godzilla's leg.
Godzilla is a chicken.
That's
Going to be like that's a lawsuit.
Yeah, it might
More than like
require
the CG,
some
it's
more
the lawsuit
acquisitions or something. I don't know, but
get Toho on the phone and figure how is we're going to make this happen.
anything's possible if the Guardians of the Galaxy can be a blockbuster feature film based on a comic book that everyone's like, why is the tree talking? Here we are.
Right.
Anyway, Ant-Man and the Wasp is on digital October 2nd and available on Blu-ray October 16th. All sorts of deleted scenes and stuff. And
some cool stuff in there, yeah.
nice. Awesome. Well, gentlemen, you have a baseball game to go see the literal Giants. Thank you so much for coming by.
Thanks.
Real pleasure.
It's been a
Thank
pleasure
you,
having
guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
The Marvel Cinematic Universe isn't going anywhere. Neither are we. Stick around.
All right.
And we're back.
That was so cool.
Yeah. So here's I'll like just to be like kind of transparent with you. I always get like a little nervous before big interviews like that. I assume you do too.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, we're both very.
You watched the video, didn't you?
The really cool thing about IGN is that when people walk in, they're sort of immediately greeted with all of the junk that we have here, right? We have like toys everywhere. There's like cool posters. There's like framed art pictures. There's like Solid Snake statues and the dude from Dark Souls, all this fun stuff. And so Laurence Fishburne he walked into our lobby and was just kind of like meandering around, kind of poking around, taking pictures and stuff like that. And then he walked up to Max and I's desk and just kind of lost it. And he was like, holy crap.
No, he walked over, it was great. He sees, I've got a Snake Plissken action figure from Escape from New York. And like we've got, I feel like, like Laurence Fishburne's kind of an older dude, so like I don't know what his fandoms are.
Yeah.
But he sees like Snake Plissken, he's like, oh, F word, yeah. Like, you got Snake? Mm-hmm. Mr. T's down there? And he's like poking around and he's like looking at all these toys, and it's just, I don't know.
Cool.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah.
So it's also fun to do it on like a home turf, because I always, when we do like live shows and live events, I always just feel like kind of a, just a schmoozy, hosty asshole, and it's like to be like, hey, this is where we play with our dolls.
It's tough because you meet like in this middle stage, and when you come here, it's like, oh, you're here in our studio, and we're obviously very proud of the work we do here in the show. So I guess I'll say real quick. We were going to save it for the end of the episode, but we'll get it out of the way right now. We are taking a hiatus here on Up at Noon.
Yeah.
For possibly the rest of the year.
Yeah. So
there might be some special episodes that pop up between now and then. But
honestly, this is like, we don't actually know about this for sure. But next week I'm going to be at New York Comic Con, and then the week after that I'll be on my honeymoon in Tokyo for like 3 weeks. And you're going to be in
I'll be shooting some.
You're all over the world.
Yeah, I'm shooting more episodes of my travel show.
And then we get into November, and it gets to there's Thanksgiving, and then in December there's Christmas. So like the amount of times that we're actually in the office for the rest of the year isn't that much. So
that said, we're going to fight tooth and nail to keep making the show somehow, somewhere, in some way. And we will bring that to you because we're very, very proud of the work we've been doing here on Up at Noon for years now. And as you can see from the interview we just did, it's a cool place to hang out. So we will have more news on that soon. In the meantime, there they are. They work on the show.
Hey, that's everybody. Mm-hmm. Who's that other guy there?
What?
Who's that third guy?
That's not what?
It's Emily.
No, on the left. Who's that man?
Oh, that's Jordan. Yeah, that's Jordan.
I know
Emily.
No, Emily's on the right.
No.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah,
the man with the hat. I don't know him.
Let's have a great show today.
Did you let him in? Is he allowed to be in there?
Can we? Let's come on.
I don't know.
So that's the news for now.
Can you call security? Get them. I don't think he's supposed to be back there. The hat man. We run a tight ship here at Up at Noon. We want to keep doing it.
That's the news on Up at Noon for now. We will let you know more soon. Hopefully sooner than later. Obviously, we want to keep making the show.
He's taking one of the chairs. Can you? Oh no! Oh God! Now he's running around the office. Anyway, it's a fun show. We have fun. What? You can't goof around on this show? Too serious? Gotta get serious? I was just kidding. That was Jordan. He makes all the intros and outros for the show, all the funny graphics. Yep. So news. Let's get to the news. Want to talk about news? What the hell is that? What is that?
Yeehaw.
Okay, giddy up, everybody.
It's Cowboy season.
So we were going to talk about really, like one of the biggest things to drop lately this week. We got a brand new trailer for Dark Phoenix, which is an X-Men movie that doesn't say X-Men in the title. Hold off on that for a second. Something I want to be much more positive about. Really great. We got our first look at Tom Hanks in the Mr. Rogers movie, which I believe is called Won't You Be My Neighbor. Let's take a look at it right here, boys and girls. Look at it. It's Tom Hanks as Mr. Rogers. Wow. It's like exactly what you'd expect. I don't think they're making you live in a trailer. I think that's a set photo. I hope. It'd be weird if this is like a gritty reboot where he's he just like lives in a van down by the river.
Yeah, I like this. I like this a lot. You should watch Won't You Be My Neighbor, which is
That's the documentary.
It'll make you cry.
Yeah.
It made me cry.
Mr. Rogers makes me cry a lot.
Mr. Rogers is a great guy. The weird thing about him, they talk about it in the documentary, he was not anymore, but he was the exact same weight every day for like most of his adult life.
I think that man is from space. I think he's an alien. Also, I love in this image you can't see what shoes he's wearing, and he's also half in and outside. So is he wearing his loafers or is he wearing his tennis shoes? It's totally impossible.
But you know what that handle's for on the side? Getting in and out of the pool.
Yeah, but does he have his feet in the pool? Who knows? We'll have to tune into the film when it comes out.
So this guy's Tom Hanks has also played Walt Disney, right? Did that movie ever come out?
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
It did, right?
Yeah, I like.
Saving Mr. Banks.
I don't know. I think Mr. Rogers is the best, though.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's talk about the X-Men, I guess.
Okay.
We got a brand new trailer for Dark Phoenix, which is coming out in February. This was a movie that was supposed to come out, I think, in November, and then that got pushed. Basically, everything that Fox has on their plate right now kind of got this weird shuffle around. Like they moved the Freddie Mercury Bohemian Rhapsody movie from, I think they moved it from August to November, and then X-Men, which was supposed to come out in November, got pushed to February, and then New Mutants, which was supposed to come out in February, got pushed to next August. So they're kind of in a weird spot over there.
Which is
for a while,
probably as convoluted as the actual X-Men timeline is in those films.
And I don't think Freddie Mercury is technically part of the X-Men cinematic universe, but honestly, it wouldn't be that far-fetched. I would say that honestly, Freddie Mercury probably had better costumes than most of the X-Men we've seen in the movies.
Which meanwhile, you've got Kevin Feige being like, oh, if these movies move over, hypothetically, I got them. I'll take care of them. I know what to do with stuff like this. And they're like, just you wait, sir. We have some plans in the meantime.
So from the looks of this, I think we have the trailer queued up somewhere. It is called Dark Phoenix. We knew this for a while. It's not X-Men Dark Phoenix. What's interesting is I think this is effectively a Jean Grey movie. The X-Men are in it. Obviously, Charles Xavier's there. We've got Magneto bumming around somewhere. There's shots of other X-Men, other mutants, and everything. But the clear focus here is specifically on Jean Grey. It seems like they're kind of doing almost like a science fiction version of Carrie. You know, like it's about a woman who gets telekinetic powers, and maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. As an X-Men fan, I'm completely and utterly unimpressed by this. I love the Dark Phoenix stuff. I realize that the Jean Grey timeline is incredibly convoluted, and adapting it properly for film is very difficult. And I mean, I would say this looks more grounded and serious than a lot of the stuff we've sort of come to expect from X-Men, and I don't know how I feel about that. There is
I will say that either they locked this cast into an insane 6-picture deal that they can't get out of, or these people genuinely like making these movies. 'Cause somehow they all keep coming back.
They do okay. There's a shot of them in costumes. They're clearly pulling from the
original, like.
Well, no, that's actually more like the Grant Morrison New X-Men.
Is it?
Outfits.
Even like with those giant X's?
Yeah, the giant X's. That was actually back in like 2001 that kind of rebooted the costumes. And I love the design they were going with, but it also kind of flies in the face of, at the tail end of X-Men Apocalypse, they all came out in the Danger Room in like outfits that looked like they nailed it. I was like, oh, that's Cyclops. He's got the straps and stuff. And I was like, they're finally getting there. And then they're like, never mind, it's just they all wear the same one. So they're kind of going more of a first-class direction. This looks like, I don't know. This doesn't really look like a movie I'm too excited about. I'm incredibly optimistic about the idea of the X-Men getting the MCU treatment, maybe getting put into that universe. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like
I'm trying to be positive here.
You know, we've said like for years now on the show, it sort of feels like they're playing keep away with this franchise, and it's like every time they put out one of these, it's less of a chance of it ever being folded into the bigger overall story. And obviously, you know, we're very excited for Marvel movies. That's how we started the show with 15 minutes of basically celebrating them. I think that they're fun. They're a treat. There's a great opportunity there to do genre films and do really interesting stuff like that. It's great opportunity to take one-off characters and make their own movies out of them, which, you know, the X-Men have no shortage of. Like, one of the reasons I've always really liked the X-Men is that they are an awesome team, but they are fantastic individuals as well. And I think you get that less so with, say, like Fantastic Four, with some other superhero teams, which they're better in numbers.
I think with the teams, it's really kind of hit or miss across the board. I mean, I think a Wolverine movie works fine on its own.
Definitely.
A Storm is one of my favorite characters, and I still don't know if I would be that into a Storm movie. Meanwhile, if you were like, hey, here's a Nightcrawler Colossus buddy comedy, like they're on the loose, and they did comics like that all the time. If they did a Gambit Wolverine movie, that would be really cool. A Cyclops movie on its own, I would not be into that really.
No,
I don't know. It's kind of, you kind of got to cherry pick it. But as a team, that is hands down my favorite superhero team. So the idea of seeing them maybe in the MCU's hands is very nice. This movie though, it's like, I don't know, the Jean Grey stuff. I've never been wild about it. You know, there's some cool stuff that happens in relation to it. But we've got what's her name? The blonde lady in the trailer.
Jennifer Connelly?
No, that's not Jennifer Connelly.
Jennifer Lawrence.
Not Jennifer Lawrence. The other one, not the blue blonde lady. The new blonde lady.
She's actually redheaded.
What's her name?
Doesn't matter.
I don't know. She's the new. I forget her name.
Jessica Chastain.
Jessica Chastain. There it is.
Karen.
She plays an alien. That's all they've said. She's a mysterious alien. She's not. I don't know. They're not being like, oh, she's Lilandra, the Majestrix of the Shi'ar Empire with her bodyguard gladiator. They're like, no, it's a blonde lady. And I'm like, Okay.
So that's let's rant real quick because that's actually one of the things I don't like about these movies as well is that like they have this rich source material and they rarely pull from it.
Ding, 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 ding,
Yeah.
ding, ding.
They have all of this
no.
wealth of characters, backstories, books that are literally written. I mean, I'm not saying you have to, like Watchmen it, where you basically take the comic book and storyboard a film. Although maybe there's something there.
That's the thing is they've always taken the sort of the names and the characters and used them to kind of line up with a role that they had in mind. Like they were like, we're going to have this character anyway. Which character kind of works in here? And I'm a little bit hypocritical here because I adore the Deadpool movies, and they absolutely did that with Negasonic Teenage Warhead.
Totally, yeah.
Like her powers in the comics are completely unrelated, totally different kind of character. The movie version is really fun, but like it's not remotely associated.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, I don't know, like the way they handled
Jubilee.
Yeah, they just throw her around. It sucks. Or they're like, I mean, even going back to the first one, they were like, oh, what does Rogue do? Oh, she like siphons people's life forces, and they effectively like they gave like Kitty Pryde's like role to Rogue, but Rogue was like I don't know, that whole thing. It's again, X-Men is incredibly convoluted. It gets very difficult.
Was it?
But it doesn't feel like they're really that kind of dialed into the source material.
No, I agree. And also, like one more thing, these movies have a tendency to feel almost morose and very weighty. Like, and I understand the subject matter is effectively the horror of discrimination is effectively what the X-Men universe is about, or mutants in general. That said, I'm a like 90s X-Men animated show guy, and that was triumphantly campy and very goofy at times and very endearing. And I think these movies have gotten there occasionally. There was that part where was it Days of Future Past where all the kids are running around like the government building, and they're just kind of like goofing around and their heads are popping behind walls and stuff like that, and they're pranking
I think
each other.
that was First Class.
Yeah, First Class.
First Class is fun.
Yeah, and they're having a good time. And I don't think you need to make an entirely campy movie, but I don't think an entire movie around the X-Men should just be so weighty and sad all the time.
Yeah, it feels like they're taking the wrong notes from Logan and the wrong notes from Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
Like Deadpool 2, I think, is the best X-Men movie since X-Men 2.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, we started off the show talking about Ant-Man, obviously a comedy. I think it maybe doesn't have to go that far, but like take a little bit of that.
Add some color, just a little bit. Just a
even
little
like
more.
what I really liked about Infinity War was that in the balance of everything in that movie, there were moments of joy and comedy and vibrance, and I think that a lot of that gets kind of lost here. These movies just sort of feel wet and sad. But they're going to keep making them, so we'll see how they do.
Yep. No matter what we say, they will keep doing them, and nothing can stop it.
Okay, I want to tell you guys a very funny story because obviously Red Dead Redemption 2, one of the biggest games of the year. We've been thinking about it. We've been talking about it. We don't.
Hold on. So. Obviously, we put up a lot of coverage about Red Dead Redemption 2 on IGN. There's a lot of it. We know that. That's because a lot of people want to know about it. It's an incredibly dense, huge, massive game, and there are a lot of details. And we saw the game in action. We got to play it. And we have a lot of things that we keep popping up and that we keep wanting to talk about. So if you don't care about Red Dead Redemption 2, stop clicking on things that say Red Dead in the headline. That being said,
so obviously we're big fans of Red Dead. We're big fans of Rockstar. I'm wearing one of their shirts. They make awesome games. We have gotten, just like you have, trickles of information about Red Dead Redemption 2 for years now. Some screens here, some gameplay trailers there, some cinematics and stuff like that. We got invited last week to a small room. A small private room in San Francisco.
Intimate. Yeah.
And we got to check out the game for the first time. And so some other folks here at IGN had been playing the game for a couple hours before that. John Ryan, who works for our guides, Tina Amini, and Ryan McCaffrey, who all work here at IGN. And so we basically entered a gameplay session that had already been happening.
They got like, I think it was 3 hours of story.
Yeah.
And then they basically had us come like later on. We didn't show up 3 hours late. We showed up at the beginning of when they basically were like, okay, and now check out the open world.
Here's the open world. So now imagine this, you've been waiting your whole life, or not your whole life, you've been waiting a long time to see this game. And you come in and you sit down for the very first time and you're like, this is it. This is the Red Dead Redemption 2 is in motion in front of me. In my eyes, someone is holding a controller and controlling it. They're moving the camera. This is not just something, staged. This is not something built by teams of people. This is not a cinematic. This is the actual gameplay. And the first thing we see, the literal first thing we see, is John Ryan walk his character on a horse up to a small lake.
Yes.
Where a red-headed boy
on the
around
shore,
16 years old, wearing overalls, is standing around.
He's a young boy.
And John,
he's like a little ginger Huckleberry Finn.
Yeah.
And the whole thing about Red Dead is it's all about interacting with the NPCs.
Yeah.
And if you played a Rockstar game, you like to do that in all sorts of ways. Sometimes it's carjacking, sometimes just beating them up, doing bad things. In this case, you can antagonize. There's a button that just says antagonize. And this little boy is at the corner of this lake, and he's skipping stones, and he goes, well, Bertha won't give me the time of day. I dare to declare. And John Ryan walks up with Arthur Morgan and presses antagonize and goes, what are you whining about, you sissy? And this boy turns around, and he's like, oh, good sir, I do not even know you. Leave me be. And he starts walking away.
I don't want no trouble, sir.
And we're like a grown man on a horse who's like got guns and whips and stuff.
And so, yeah, you have button prompts that pop up where you can be like, leave him be, or it can be like, you can keep bothering the boy.
You can diffuse. And so we're like antagonizing him, like, yeah, you better walk away. And we start following him, and he's like, please, sir, leave me be. I don't want your trouble today. And he keeps walking away. And John Ryan, it's like diffuse, and he's like, hey, I'm just sorry, kid. I'm just only messing with you. And he's like, Mister, I suppose it ain't nothing. And he keeps going, and then he's like, now let's antagonize him some more. And then he starts trying to lasso him.
He was throwing lassos at him.
He's
so
like,
now the boy starts running, and he's running away from the... He was just skipping rocks. He was like, I'm having a good all day. And he starts running up this hill. And so we're on the horse, and we're galloping behind him. We're like, get over here, you little twerp.
Come here, piglet. Let me
just
chase you down.
harassing the hell out of this kid. And I just like kind of tap Max's shoulder, and I'm like, this is our first look at Red Dead Redemption 2. We've been waiting years for this, and the first thing I see is bullying. And I'm like, we are bullying more in this game than they bully in the game that Rockstar made called Bully.
Yeah.
Like, we were just harassing people.
So, if you want to have some old-timey virtual bullying...
One more quick thing, because I want to throw this in there, and I think we can talk about this. We went into an area in the game where there's a lot of people, and walked up to one of them, and from the horse, kicked the guy in the face. And he was like, what the hell? And he started running and yelling, and all these people in town.
And so that's the thing, is if you do something that offends somebody, they will become a witness, and their icon on your map will turn into a little eye, and they'll run away. And so we're like, we got to chase this guy down and make sure he doesn't squeal on us. And so we chase him off, and we start just beating the crap out of him. And then like 4 other people on the minimap turn into little eyes, and I'm like, oh crap, we got like 5 witnesses. And then they all start running every which way, and we're like, uh-oh, and then it's like, we're wanted. And I mean, it's a familiar thing. We've all done this in Rockstar games. This is what you do. You screw around. Like, the operative thing in, I feel like, describing a Rockstar game is you can ...
Yeah.
I remember like being in 10th grade and my friends telling me about like stuff that was new in Vice City, and like, yeah, you can do this, and you go and you get this, and the cops come and you get the bazooka and whatever. And it was like, I'm like, you can do that, you can pull that off. That's incredible. And like, one of the first things I did when I played the first Red Dead was I remember like lassoing somebody, putting them on, hog-tying them, putting them on my horse, and being like, oh, what else are you gonna do with somebody who's hog-tied? And I put them on the train tracks. And then the train came by and ran him over, and it gave me like an achievement for being dastardly. I love it.
Really quick to end this off. When Red Dead Redemption 2 comes out, I want you all to go hunting. I want you to go fishing and trapping. I want you to build your homestead and your camp, and I want you to explore the open plains and take photographs and really take it all in, and do train robberies and Wild West shoot 'em ups. But don't forget to also be a total dick. Just really get out there and be a dick. Kick the man in the face, chase the red-headed kid away from the river.
Rockstar Games,
just get him real good.
Rockstar Games is pushing the boundaries of like the modern interactive narrative. They're revolutionizing things in a technical way, but at the end of the day, they're also making a game where you can do stuff that would get you in so much trouble in real life because it's fun. So
I can't wait.
Get in trouble.
You know what? When that game comes out, the first thing I'm doing, I'm going out in the world, I'm finding that boy, and I'm finishing that job. I'm gonna make him cry.
I'm gonna bully that boy straight into the lake. Wait, howdy everybody, it's me, the cowboy. This is unsettling. I don't get this out of here.
There we are. Another thing about Red Dead that we just found out this week, it's gigantic. And not just like it's big, there's a lot of stuff to do, but it's going to take you a long time to download it unless you have blazing fast internet. Max, how big is this video game in gigabytes?
I don't want to alarm anyone, but it might in fact be 105 gigabytes!
That's a lot of gigabytes.
Yeah. So we did the math on this. It's not really math. It's actually putting 2 numbers next to each other and determining which is bigger. And we determined that this is in fact possibly, I think, the biggest console game out of the box, period, in history. Video games have gotten considerably bigger and bigger as time has gone on. Also, this is at launch. I don't know if this accounts for Red Dead Online or any kind of patches or DLC or anything they're going to add in there. I don't know if it will get smaller if they figure out how to like compress things better, but this currently is a 105 gigabyte game on the box. That's what it says. We dug around. Competition out there, possibly. Oh, that's actually much more accurate to how big it could be. It's too big to even fit in the screen. Another game, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare is famous for having an incredibly huge install size. If you look at the back of the box, it says it's 130 gigabytes, which is really, you're like, wow, what did that really, it is Infinite Warfare. There's so much of it there. But that's actually accounting for the fact that it came with Modern Warfare Remastered.
Right,
so that's technically 2 games.
Yeah, so
if you look at Call of Duty Infinite Warfare by itself, I think it's like 98 gigs or something, which is still huge, but
Yeah, and again, keep in mind we are talking about specifically console games. Now, obviously, these games come with DLC and day one patches and all this other stuff, so that can ramp it up eventually down the line. If you were to buy the complete edition of a game later with all the DLC added, you could be getting in the 140, 150, 160 gig.
Right.
But for like the day one standalone, here's the game. I think Red Dead is taking it right now. So what else do we have?
Red Dead is winning. One game that's hilarious to track the install size of is Gears of War 4, which I don't actually know how big it is because I think at launch it was something around 98, and that was counting one patch for multiplayer stuff,
right.
And then there's also like they've gone in and they've tried to whittle it down, but then it will balloon up again, and then there's been DLC and maps and updates, and so like you will find, if you search Gears of War 4 install size, you will find a lot of different data based on, I didn't go on the Xbox Marketplace and figure out how much it is right now, or how like not even how much it is. This is how big it is. But that's that's a big question mark. Another one.
Real quick, like video games file sizes have always been weird. There's a funny anecdote I always like to share about this stuff, that a JPEG of Super Mario Brothers for NES is a bigger file size than Super Mario Brothers for NES.
That's bananas.
Isn't that insane? So like it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, the biggest file size I could find across all platforms, apparently Final Fantasy 15 for Windows with the HD texture pack to run in Super HD 4K, Ultra K, whatever, is 155 gigabytes.
Yeah, so that's an 85 gigabyte game with a 63 gigabyte optional high-res pack that you could download on day one if you wanted to. I believe it was there on day one, but that is just gigantic.
Yeah.
And so
there on the cover, that's Noctis, but that's what he looks like after waiting for that to download.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so the interesting thing about this that I find pretty fascinating is if you have a PS4 Pro, maybe you've got a terabyte, maybe at this point, you've got an Xbox One X that has some extra storage, or you got, you supplemented that with external storage. But if you have a base PS4 that came with 500 gigs, you're burning through a fifth of that, not including what the OS takes up, just to play Red Dead. So you would basically have if you were a digital-only guy with just a PS4, you could pretty much only pick 5 games on Red Dead, which is kind of ridiculous. So this is going to take you a long time to download. Hopefully, we start getting news very soon about when you can sort of like, pre-purchase it, pre-download it, get that queued up. I do appreciate that companies over the last years have allowed you to do that, so that when it launches at 9 p.m. or midnight, whatever.
That being said, if you got a data cap, that's a lot.
That's a lot, yeah. So you might want to buy that on disc. Although
it still has to install,
and it's going to get DLC for years, including multiplayer stuff.
Do you remember getting GTA 5 and putting that thing in there and being like, yes, finally I'm gonna play GTA 5. It's gonna be so awesome. And you put it in, and then it takes like 25 minutes to install.
Yeah.
And just being like, oh, God, all right.
I remember at the Xbox One around that launch year, it just had notoriously slow installs, and I did the same thing. I used to buy games on disc and put them in, and you'd just be like, oh, I'm ready to play, and you'd have to wait a while. So yeah, 105 gigs for Red Dead Redemption 2 on PS4. If there's a bigger console game, maybe we missed it. Let us know in the comments, and man.
Good luck with the gigabytes.
Yeah, start downloading.
All right, so moving on. It's been a minute since we talked about Star Wars here on this fine program we make.
They've been quiet, and so have we. So.
Solo, A Star Wars Story is out. What is that? That's on Blu-ray this week?
It's out this week. Yeah, it's been on digital for 2.
This is, I don't even know how to start this. So, Nissan, makers of cars, including occasionally special edition Star Wars cars. I believe they made a Rogue One Rogue, which was some good product integration. They sent over a limited edition Nissan exclusive Gentle Giant 3D Systems Range Trooper. It's a good thing it's cutting off my head because I'm.
Yeah, this is a Range Trooper 1/1 scale helmet replica. Gentle Giant, obviously, they make a lot of statues and busts. We've talked about them on the show before.
Pull it harder. This thing is very heavy. It's very large.
But this is 1-to-1, which means this is the size of an actual helmet use in the film. This is one of the range troopers, which is one of my favorite designs in Solo.
I love these guys. These are the guys who are on the train chase, and they have. Don't you touch that? What are you doing?
Why?
You have to put on the gloves that it comes with. It comes with gloves. I'm the museum inspector, and I'm here to put my dusty fingerprints all over this. All right, so yeah, it comes with this thing. I love this. This is 1 of 100. I think this might be the rarest thing we've ever been sent that says.
Don't do that.
No, it's got fingerprints all over it. I really need to polish it.
This is a CD spindle, actually. This is where I put all of my compact discs.
So yeah, let's take a look at this guy. This is just gorgeous. Again, it comes with certificate of authenticity. So it's weird. I love it when they make these like very special limited edition things, and you know that they're limited edition because they have the handwritten edition number, and this person wrote the 9 backwards.
Yep.
Look
Now
at
remember,
that.
this also comes with 3 silica gel packets. They are exclusive to this box set. Extremely rare. Do not eat them. They will make you explode.
The reason these ones are so rare is that you can eat them, and I hear they're a delicacy. Anyway,
No,
let's
it
get
says
this guy.
do not eat. Don't eat them. Don't eat them.
No, I'm just kidding. Don't sue me. Okay, so here's the thing. It's hefty, but not as heavy as it looks. And you just shove that in there. It's a nice kind of rubberized thing, so it doesn't rattle around. Wow. And that's it. This is the helmet. This is the Range Trooper helmet.
Have you smelled it?
It smells like a big plastic
Get your nose in
museum. I love the mirrored reflective lens here.
Let's give this a nice touch. Yeah, the great scoring around the outside. Just the.
What would you score it?
I would score this a 10 out of 10.
I would score it a 98 out of 100.
There we go.
Yeah.
A+ in EGM.
Yeah, but I love this. It's got the little solo thing. Yeah, I thank you to Nissan for sending this over.
So here's the thing with me, and I love Gentle Giant stuff, I really do, but they make a lot of busts, which I'm kind of torn on because it's effectively just the torso or the shoulders up. But they also make a lot of full statues. I'm not a crazy fan of busts, but I love helmets. These are awesome.
Yeah.
This is a kind of thing I would love to put in my apartment.
And the bittersweet thing about this is that, can you pull on that a little bit? It's not actually
the sword in the stone.
It's not actually a helmet, unless you have an incredibly tiny head. I don't know what you could fit in there.
A snake.
But yeah, so the reason for that is that different licenses go to different companies based on what they're actually producing. Anovos is a company that makes replica helmets, so they probably have one of this guy that you could wear or buy and actually put on your head. I know Ruby's does more affordable helmets. Hasbro does helmets sometimes, but only the ones that have sound effects attached to them. Gentle Giant. They make busts, so they have the license for Star Wars busts, so that's why they did this one. I guess it technically counts as a bust, but unfortunately, you cannot wear it on your head, but it's good that you can't, because you'd probably bang it up, hit your head on stuff. There it is.
But it sort of gives you an idea of what it was like to probably work on this film, right? Or what it's like to be a stormtrooper and wear something like this and running around. It's not surprising that their aim is bad. It's not surprising that they die so often. These things look heavy, they look dangerous, and it looks like there's not a lot of ways to breathe or eat. God, I love this design so much.
Damn, do you look
so
cool?
Right?
I like
so
their big
Ralph
funky
McQuarrie.
boots for jumping.
Yeah, isn't this so vintage Ralph McQuarrie? I love that.
I dig it.
Yeah, it's super cool. Do me a favor, Max, real quick. Hold that up in front of your face. There we go. Do you see how that looks? Okay, so now you're getting an idea of how ridiculous it would be to have a stormtrooper wearing a Hawaiian shirt. Max actually decided to take that one step further.
All right, let's back this up for a second.
Here we go.
Hold on a second.
I'll wait while he's putting this.
We made Party Troopers. This is very exciting. I'm so excited about this. We've been working on this for weeks.
Yeah.
This is possibly the most work we've ever put into something on this show, and I think you'll see why in a second.
Yeah.
Okay. So the fine folks at Bluefin. Bluefin is a company that distributes Bandai model kits here in the States. If you are unfamiliar with these, they are snap-together kits. They're pretty easy. You have to cut the pieces off like a model kit, but they all come pre-colored, and they snap together. You don't need glue. You don't need paint. That's kind of the sell. They're basically Gundam models.
Yeah, we've talked about these on the show before. I've built the C-3PO. I've built the X-Wings. You built Slave One. You've built
I've got
Boba Fett.
I've got a Boba Fett right here.
Yeah.
We'll talk about him in a second.
And so they will give you a genuine appreciation for how action figures are built, and they're to scale with pretty much most 6-inch scale toys.
Right.
I feel like there's a little
1/12 scale. And anyway, if you build a Stormtrooper out of the box, he looks like a Stormtrooper. It's all normally colored. It makes sense. There's some stickers on there. This is Boba Fett. It's completely unpainted. It's what it looks like out of the box. But if you want to go a step further, you can have a lot of fun with these guys. And we decided to make custom troopers that we're both very proud of, and they fit our personalities.
They totally do. So Max made his Hawaiian luau party shirt
It's
custom
literally
trooper.
based on the shirt that I'm wearing right now.
Yep,
As you can
it's
see, he's
fantastic.
He's got his little drink, which I stole from another Star Wars figure. But he's like, "Hey, how's it going? What's going on, man? What are you doing? You want to hang out? Go shoot some stuff out? Whoa.
I basically made mine look like a New York City graffiti wall or a dive bar bathroom wall that has just been tagged up to hell. And the way we did that was we used a sort of a series of different artistic tools that we got to reach into. Max got me these awesome things. They are paint markers. So basically, they're paint pens basically, and you shape them and they rattle like almost like spray cans.
I've got bad news. You probably have some undiscovered like lung disease from the paint fumes, but these are very cheap paint markers for hobby stuff. So I think this was like a box of these was like $20 on Amazon.
I had a this Disney AT, and I basically took it apart and started painting on it and did some tests on it to be like sort of how do I want this to look. So I did some tagging on it effectively, and came up with some rules. And I think for art and for painting, you have to say, these are the rules in which I want to do this. This is how I create a pattern. So for mine, my theory was outline basically everything in black to almost give it like a poppy cel-shaded look. And then from there, fill everything in with tags. Max did a really cool thing. He took basically the trays, the kits out, and sprayed them down
like
before they were even built.
I went a little bit further. When you get the kits, obviously, it's if you ever built a model kit, you're familiar with this. They all come on on pieces like that. You want to hand me the little tool set there?
Of course.
You can if you want to get into model making, it's wonderfully easy thanks to weird Chinese companies on Amazon. You can get like a good pair of clippers, nippers, hobby shears for like $8, something like that. This kit I believe comes with a little marker for doing lines. Knife for cutting pieces off, and a file for sanding things down so they all fit together nicely. This used to be such a pain to do hobby stuff, because if you lived in a small town or whatever and you had to go to like the one local hobby shop, which obviously small businesses are great, but I don't know, if you're trying to get a pair of snippers on the cheap, it sucks if you're 15, speaking from experience. I got some spray paint, I dusted a little bit of gray across the white parts, and then I put black over the black parts so it looks a little bit less plasticky.
Yep.
For mine, I went completely bonkers. I have an airbrush at home, and I basically I did the whole thing pink. I did all the white pieces pink by themselves, and then I went over and I cut like a little tiny stencil of palm leaves, just using a razor and a piece of plastic, like it was a piece of garbage, like a salad container or something. And I just cut out little palm tree leaves, and then I went through and just airbrushed those on there, and then made little dots of red, which looked actually like really disgusting chicken pox at first. And then I added the yellow dots to make it look like my shirt.
Yeah.
Who wore it better?
Which is just
me or
awesome.
the trooper? I got the pink kind of wrong, but otherwise I think I did a pretty good job.
And so mine took a really long time because
Can't see him. He
these
blends in perfectly.
paint pens are pretty much uncontrollable in terms of how thick or thin they roll. Sometimes they will drop out just a huge dollop of paint, and sometimes they will look very scratchy. So I had to build this in layers. So basically, I used the kit that Max had sprayed down. I built it, obviously, which is really fun to do because they're all snapped together. You don't need any glue or anything like that.
It's slightly harder than a Lego set,
Yeah.
And
then so from there, I did outlines, and I added all the black, and then I added red, and then I did black over that, because the way like graffiti walls are is no one really follows the rules. Everybody's just sort of tagging over each other. And so, yeah, it's hard to get a really good look at these, but we'll put up some close-up shots and stuff like that
and,
on our Instagrams and on our Twitters.
These kits were at one point really hard to get, but because Bluefin is importing them, they're now like super cheap in the States. This is currently, I think, just under $20 on Amazon. They have a bunch of other ones. Again, here's the Boba Fett, which if you don't want to paint anything, just do stickers and just have a cool toy on your desk. Oh, and yeah, they're totally articulated too. They're basically action figures.
Yeah, honestly, like you can buy a Star Wars Black Series $20 Stormtrooper. They're not as articulate as these are, and these are more fun to build, and you don't feel bad about painting them. You know?
And then the paint markers $20. Little hobby kit, it's like $10-12. So if you're looking for something to do on a weekend that won't cost quite as much as a AAA video game, that's a great place to start. And get creative. Get weird with it.
I'm very proud of these. These are really cool.
I'm happy with them. They're fun. So we try to talk about books and comics and stuff on here whenever we can.
We do.
The fine folks over at hold on a second. Let me get these guys out of here. Halloween is just around the corner, and the fine folks over at Viz Media sent over something very cool, which is Junji Ito's Frankenstein. Junji Ito is a famous manga artist known for just incredible work in doing horror. He was attached to Silent Hills, that canceled Kojima Silent Hill game, which we never got, which would have been incredibly cool. Frankenstein, if you're unfamiliar, aside from being a famous doctor who then made a monster, is also basically the first science fiction story. Like, arguably the very first one. This is based not on a movie or anything. This is the original Mary Shelley story adapted into terrifying manga form with Junji Ito's very own kind of personal style of art, which I have some close-ups of right here. You can take a look at the book. And this is also a bunch of other really bizarre.
Oh man! So wait, when was this? When was this made?
I'm not sure when it was originally made, but
that shot is like straight up from. It reminds me of the beginning of the first Resident Evil game.
I can totally see that.
And he turns around.
That might be. I feel like it's more recent than that. But this comes out October 16th. It is $22.99, 400 pages, and it's a bunch of other bizarre short stories. If you've never read Junji Ito, highly recommended. This includes Neck Spectre, Bog of Living Spirits, Pen Pal, Intruder, The Strange Tale of Oshikiri, The Walls, The Hell of the Doll Funeral, Face Firmly in Place, Boss Non Non, and then Hide and Seek with Boss Non Non, which I think is about having a very bad dog.
I think you've got to take a look at that one right here, because this is probably.
It looks like Boss Non Non is a bad dog.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and call it. This is manga of the year.
That's actually one of my favorite things.
Who is a good boy?
Like,
not you.
Junji Ito
naughty
does.
Man.
Junji Ito does incredibly awful, nightmarish, just terrifying like journeys into fear, and then also will make these adorable short stories about his pets. Like there's an entire manga about like my cats sleep all day. What am I to do? And you're like, what are they going to kill you? Are they going to eat your eyelids? And they're like, nah, there's cats, man. It's fine.
I think everybody needs a break from the chaos every now and
take a
then,
break from the terror.
Yeah.
So also on the subject of books, if you grew up in the 90s as a big nerd, you might remember Star Wars visual dictionaries from DK Publishing. They are close-up looks at all the detailed props and everything.
Yeah, we've talked about them a bunch on the show.
Yeah.
They're made by, for the most part these days, they're made by Pablo Hidalgo, who writes them. And it's a really good deep dive look into all the cool props and stuff.
This is the Marvel Studios version, which is awesome.
And so, Max, you and I were just talking the other day about how, we wish there was more stuff like this in the MCU. And Star Wars is such a great sort of series to pick apart. You could look at the background and be like, what's that? What's that? What's that artifact? What's that character? If you look at the MCU, it's been going for a very long time now, and there's tons of films.
Yeah.
And so they built a lot of props. They built weapons. There's cool artifacts and sort of set pieces and all this other kind of stuff.
I feel like they could have been totally doing this. Oh yes, they got Sakaar in here.
Yeah.
They could have totally been doing this for just about every single Marvel movie, especially the Thor and Guardians of the Galaxy stuff. This covers. Oh, look at this, Taika Waititi right there. Good old Korg. Goes all the way to Black Panther. I'm not sure when this is actually. I think this comes out yesterday, day before yesterday.
Cool.
So it's available now. It is $30.
Yeah, and so what I love about this is it basically gives like the science book treatment to imaginary fantasy artifacts.
Yeah.
So it'll say sort of like, there's Yondu's bomb thing, and what does that button do, or what does this button do? And they have writers come in and come up with like reasons for all of that. And I don't know how much of that is sort of like canonical and how much of that is, respected in the greater lore when they're making these films. But it's cool to think that it's even
super
there.
cool.
Yeah. It's also, it will give you like a really great appreciation of some of the costumes that go into this.
If you're looking into doing either fan art or cosplay or whatever, these
totally.
are great. I used to be obsessed with my Star Wars ones because they're awesome like resource. Obviously, if you got the internet now, it's probably easier. But there's something nice about having a flippant book to look at.
No, seriously, like if you're trying to put together like a movie grade quality costume for Halloween of the Hulk in Ragnarok, this is probably some of your best bets. You really get like a good look at what he's wearing and what he's holding. Oh man, whiplash.
Oh, good. A full page about Sam Rockwell, just what everyone needs.
Well, I mean, what are you wearing today?
I do love. Where is my board? There is my board.
Oh yeah,
there is my phone. My board.
They have his name in there. The bird's
Whiplash. White cockatoo.
He didn't name his bird.
Wait. Lonely Vanko's only friend is his parrot. When he is hired by Hammer, Vanko demands that Hammer retrieve his parrot from Russia. However, Hammer gives him a different bird. A lot of people give Iron Man 2 a lot of crap, but I think it has one of the best relationships in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Mickey Rourke and his board.
There we go.
Where is my board?
Yeah.
So I remember I walked out of Iron Man 2, and everybody I know hates that movie. That is widely considered to be one of the worst movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I walked out of that and I was like, comic book movies have arrived. This is a totally nonsense filler adventure.
Yeah.
Like this is setting up a bunch of crap that's coming later. It's a bunch of jumping around and shouting, and you're like, what happened? What was it about? And I was like, this is the best. Do X-Men next. What do you got going on over there?
Nothing. I want to talk about one more book.
Books.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So this is written by a friend of ours, Alex Rubens, who's been working in the industry for what seems like decades, even though he's a very young man. He's written a new book called 8-Bit Apocalypse, The Untold Story of Atari's Missile Command. It's got a foreword written by Jeff Gerstmann, who you know from Giant Bomb.
Yeah. This is not a.
Who's been on Up at Noon before.
It's not a fun manga or anything. It's an actual book. It's full of important research.
And so I'm consistently fascinated with video game history from the perspective of people who not only were there for it, word of mouth kind of stuff, but also the people who document it. We've had people like Frank Cifaldi on the show talking about the power of video game history. So much of it does get lost and falls through the cracks. And Alex is, he's done such a great job of doing a deep dive on Missile Command, but also the sort of world that embraced it and shunned it and everything around it. So please check this out.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of sort of the book Game Over, which is another book I will recommend until I'm dead. It talks about the very early sort of Sega and Nintendo ages and that first console war really, and Tetris and all that kind of stuff. So even if you don't know much about Missile Command, this is a really cool sort of a piece that will break down what video game history was like and how it can be continue to be important.
You want to hear a funny story about Alex Rubens?
Yeah.
So I met Alex Rubens a bunch of times. He's always I met him famously a few times. I think the first time I met him, I was like drunk at a party or something, and I was like, "Hey, good to meet you, man. Cool, whatever." And then the second time I met him, I was like, "Hey, good to meet you." He's like, "We already met." And then the third time I did that again, except that was after I went in to hug somebody, and I accidentally hit him in the face going in for the hug. Like he was standing over someone's shoulder, and I just whacked him in the face. And so then anytime it looked like I was going to forget who he was, he's like, "No, you punched me in the face that one time, so now I have to plug his books on my show. Sorry, Alex. I love you."
Is that the rule?
I don't know if you punch somebody. No, but I would introduce him to other people, and he'd be like, "Hey, yeah, I'm Alex. Nice to meet you. Did I ever tell you the story about the time Max forgot my name 3 times and also punched me in the face?" And I'm like, "This sucks, man." Anyway.
He and I had a running joke that he was a child and I was a very old man.
Dude, I went to an Assassin's Creed 3 preview event with him, and it was like a big kind of go away on a trip and stay. Ubisoft puts you in a hotel, does like multiple day event kind of thing. And he was, I think, either 19 or 20 at the time. And because he wasn't allowed to drink, they had to have him chaperone for all of our evening activities. So he had a dedicated Ubisoft person following around being like, "Did you touch that beer? You cannot put that down." It was very cute. Anyway, he wrote a book, and we host a show where we play with dolls. So
Man.
hats off to
Okay,
you.
so that is, I guess that's Up at Noon.
Is that Up at Noon? I think that's Up at Noon.
We got a few minutes left,
Yeah.
but we're out of stories.
Do we have any hot questions? Do you want to look at this picture of Junji Ito's dog
Yeah,
again?
we can do that.
We can do that. The
yeah,
terrifying hound.
Okay, well, after this, we are bumping over to a live stream of Fortnite Season 6, which just keeps getting more ridiculous.
I thought that season 5 had like kind of a weird finale. I thought it just, I don't know.
It did,
that was
yeah.
really.
Yeah, it was a cliffhanger, but they got new writers for Season 6.
Can't believe they killed off John Wick.
We should do a thing of like six things that Fortnite got more seasons than, like shows that
Well,
got
I
canceled
understand
about the
season 6 if I haven't been keeping up with the last 2 seasons.
Honestly, probably not. Like, Fortnite is ridiculous. I really love it. I was playing it for a while on paternity leave, and it was the kind of thing where I didn't think I'd get hooked on it, and then I just kind of looked up one day and I was like, oh, I put like 60 hours in this game and I'm a superhero and my axe is made out of balloon animals and I have like a pink backpack and what the hell am I doing? And then I stopped and then they kept adding more stuff and I came back and I think I'll just keep doing that.
I had a nice moment over, it was a couple weekends ago. I went to go visit my family. My crappy little nephews were there and they're of course like 9 and 11, so they're just like glued, they're like glued to Fortnite and they're stupid good at it. And they I had my Switch with me and they jumped on there and they were like, "Oh man, you suck at Fortnite." And I was like, "I haven't played much on there. I played on PS4 for a little bit, but I didn't put much time in it." And they were like, we'll take care of this. We'll play a little bit. And they go in there and they just leveled me up a bunch. And I was like, "Man, you guys suck." And then they were like, "Hey, I think we saw your show on like IGN." And I was like, "Yeah, what'd you think?" And they were like, "You guys were talking about the Flintstones movie. It was weird." And I was like, I quit. I'm done. Whatever. So anyway, we really resonate with my crappy 9 and 11-year-old nephews. Caden, Gabo, if you're watching, I hope you learned a valuable lesson about talking trash about
the
video
Simpsons,
hosts.
or the Flintstones.
The Flintstones movie, I maintain, is very interesting. It opens up with Halle Berry, Kyle MacLachlan. They're drinking, smoking, doing all kinds of nasty stuff that Flintstones shouldn't do. So
anyway,
this is Up at Noon.
I'm Brian. That's Max.
It's one of the most popular shows among anybody except my nephews.
Yeah, wow.
What is that hand gesture for? One minute.
We have
1 minute left to fill with stories about how my nephews don't like my show. They didn't want to hear about the Flintstones movie.
They don't. I can't believe this show's going on break.
Why would they put? Why would we take a break from this show?
This seems like
what could possibly go wrong?
This would be a big hit.
Yeah,
They seem enthralled.
See, we got a live studio audience, literally in the studio, running things, keeping things put together.
You know what that is?
That's 2 out of 3 thumbs up,
and 3 views.
Five,
Plus us is
4,
5.
2, 4.
Dan, come on
4
out
thumbs
here.
up.
Come here. This
Dan
is Dan
Parkhurst.
Parkhurst. You know about him. So that's more. We got more thumbs up. So
if we didn't have Dan Parkhurst working behind the scenes, the lights wouldn't turn on. We wouldn't know how to put that picture back there.
That's true.
It would be us in front of he's leaving and the lights are turning out.
So that's Up at Noon. I'm Brian. That's Max, and that was Dan. We absolutely love making the show. We want to keep making it. We hope we can keep making it. We hope we can see you soon. I don't know when or how, but we'll make it work because we love you.
Yeah.
And this is important.
And stay tuned for all sorts of weird videos. And if you're at New York Comic Con and see me, come say hello. That's the end of the video. It's over now, I think, and then the lights go off.
Up at Noon will return.
Up at Noon we'll be back.
We'll see you soon. Go watch the Fortnite.
What's up, everyone? Stephen Root from IGN here.